Welcome back. It's 11:35 and we are now going to be talking with Andrew Hofmeyr. He is with the National Council of and for Persons with Disabilities. He's a senior manager there, and we are going to be talking about neurodivergent children. Andrew Hofmeyr, very good morning. Welcome to the program. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
So I guess we can kick off by asking the all-important question. When we talk about neurodiversity, especially children with autism and ADHD, what are families actually experiencing in our school system at the moment? And I guess that also would mean, are our educators up to speed? Are they qualified enough to be dealing with kids who are neurodivergent?
Thank you so much. Yes, it is. I think it's an ever-growing issue in people's awareness of how big the problem actually is. People are saying that there's an upsurge of children being identified and diagnosed, if I can use that in inverted commas, with autism and ADHD. But I think it's just a matter of us becoming more aware of what it actually is. In terms of neurodiversity, I think it's important that we speak about the fact that it includes children with autism and ADHD, but there's also a number of children that has the combination of both autism and ADHD, which is quite a severe form of neurodiversity that one finds. And the reality is that we teachers on their side, but parents and children find that there's a huge gap between policy, inclusive education, and what actually happens on the ground, what happens in the classrooms. Because I think the education system is shaped around policy and curriculum demands and administrative requirements, and that is proper, that is supposed to be like that. But the problem is that our educators, our teachers that work with our children, they are then expected to follow guidelines and there are requirements stated on them. That does not always allow them to attend to the detail of what's happening in front of them. So I think people are experiencing that there's a gap. There's a gap between what is policy, what is intended by inclusive education, and what is actually being experienced.
And I guess in all honesty, we can't expect teachers or educators to be that well-rounded, to be dealing with kids with neurodivergent issues. I mean, just how much can they also give of themselves? So having said that, let's understand how these behaviors are misunderstood. Obviously, I'm talking ADHD and I'm talking autism. What's happening under the surface, and what is the role of parents? Because I think if parents are well enough equipped with the condition of their children, they could be great support roles as far as the child's education is concerned, and as far as sharing relevant information with educators of their children or educators in all school systems.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think let us maybe start by just talking a little bit about what is experienced, what's the experience, the lived experience of the child that we're speaking about. And I think in essence, it is a child that is overwhelmed by the environment that they feel that they find themselves in. Our children with autism and ADHD experience the world quite differently. From a sensory input perspective, emotions, levels of stress that can build up very, very quickly. Our children that we are speaking about are children that are very finely strung. It doesn't take much for them to become very aware of situation changing and then feeling not safe. And then that plays out in different ways. The child shuts down, or he avoids to work, or he becomes distressed. And often, unfortunately, that is interpreted in classrooms, especially in classrooms where educators are not aware. It then is interpreted as just pure defiance. And unfortunately, it is not, well, fortunately, It's of words, but it's not that it's defiant. It's in essence just the child's nervous system that says this is too much, and they just cannot in a calm and collective way engage with their reality that they find themselves in, and then that often makes things become worse. In terms of teachers, yes, I think our teachers need enormous support. I think there's enormous need for us to train teachers, but not train them, but inform them, guide them in terms of what is actually playing out. There's a huge need for that. There is, however, a very uncomfortable reality in our country, especially in that we are sitting with overcrowded classrooms in most of our schools. I supported a teacher in Rustenburg last year, a grade R teacher who was sitting today even with 60 children in her class. Now, that's the reality that she sits with. So, when I ask her what kind of support would you need, she says, well, just help me to keep control here, because the safety of the children is my first priority. So there's different scenarios that plays out depending on the situation in the classroom. In your more privileged environments, classroom sizes are better, and then one would assume support is better. But I think the important thing about neurodiversity is that if your planning of a classroom is that the classroom can accommodate 20 students, the actual representation of a child with autism represents 5 children. So if you've got 25 children, space for 25 children, and you've got 1 child with autism, it should be 20 plus 1. And if there's 2 children, that means you can only have 15 plus 2 children. Now this is not a thumbsuck number that I'm quoting. This is officially the guidelines of the department. But again, we sit with the reality where there's not enough special needs schools. There are not schools that provide for learners with autism and ADHD specifically. So they very often end up in situations that is, to a large degree, very challenging for both themselves, the teachers and the parents. You referred to the...
Carry on. You can finish that thought.
Thanks. You also referred to the parents, and the parents is a really critical role player in this whole scenario. Number one, I really pray that our parents will understand what is playing out in front of them, because not all parents can distinguish between just a naughty child or a child that is experiencing difficulty to engage with the reality. Our parents often become the advocates of the children. Our parents that are informed and understand, they often find themselves having to go to the school to explain and to justify. And I really hope that, especially the system, well, let's talk about the child, the school where our children are, that the principal, the leadership in the school, per department, per subject, become aware of this reality and become active in terms of becoming proactive, recognizing things for what they are and then doing what they can. Because our children has the right to be offered an opportunity and an environment where they can learn. But we must make this available in a responsible way, so that children with different needs or a different framework in terms of what they can and cannot deal with are able to progress.
Okay, let's go for an ad break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more regarding children with ADHD and autism in our mainstream schools and how it impacts on them, the families, and of course, the teachers and the other kids in the school. But we'll be back with you in a minute or two.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Across Sudan, starvation is tightening its grip. With rising food prices and widespread malnutrition, 8.7 million people are now facing emergency or famine-level hunger. As the conflict intensifies and aid routes narrow, families in Sudan are running out of options and time. The Al Imdad Foundation is delivering life-saving humanitarian aid to those most at risk. Stand with Sudan. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
It's a new beginning. It's a new era. Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
Welcome back. We're talking with Senior Manager at the National Council of and for Persons with Disabilities, and that of course is you, Andrew Hofmeyr. We're looking at the issue around neurodivergent learners. Are they truly included in the school system? Well, from the discussion thus far, it doesn't look like they've been accommodated. I'm also wondering, Andrew, we hear about lots of issues, cases of bullying in schools, and I wonder if it's not to do with these kids who have very low self-esteem, because undoubtedly if a child feels that he or she is not fitting into the system, their self-esteem takes a knock, and they are a soft target for being bullied, and it impacts this child even further, let alone him or her having to deal with the condition of ADHD or perhaps being a child with, on the autism spectrum. On top of that, they're being bullied as well. So this is huge for this child. I mean, we could be ruining this child's future completely if not addressed timelessly. How do you believe this should be addressed?
This is a really, really important question that we need to speak about a lot more and very regularly, because the knock-on effect, the ripple effect in the life of that child is very it's very upsetting if one looks at the detail of it. Number one, I think a child that is not confident, a child that walks into a space and feeling insecure, feeling unheard, unrecognized, already is on the back foot, and it creates a problem. And at that same moment in time, the child's anxiety increases, and the school becomes a place that is not safe, and that aggravates the outplay of what the child is struggling with. So apart from the child withdrawing, over time it can become a really complex and complicated matter. and we need to be very clear about the ripple effect of what we are talking about, because we are not only talking about the child with ADHD or ASD or autism. We are talking about the other children as well. We're talking about having a sensitivity, but a sensitivity that's based on an understanding and an empathy for what we all have on our plates to live with. The child that with autism and the child that does not have autism, they face the same struggles in terms of the environment that they find themselves in. But in a big way, it's about the ability to regulate his or her emotions in times or as the environment in the classroom, on the playground changes. And a child with autism and ADHD very often very much struggles with own emotional regulation, which then impacts on their ability to feel safe, to remain calm, to be able to cope. And this has an enormous impact, direct impact on the level to which they are actually able to learn. So the
converse, sorry for the interruption, the converse here applies to the child with one of these conditions, because you're talking about regulation of emotions. They don't know how to regulate, and they don't know how then to respond, which means they end up reacting, and they then could be the bullies, because that's the only way they know how to defend themselves.
Yeah, it plays out in those different ways. It's either becoming the bully, because often being a bully is a way of protecting yourself in this scenario. And often the bully is, I've been in education for many years, and most often the bully profile plays out in a child where there is a bigger problem. So definitely, but when the child goes to the bully scenario in terms of adopting that character, it can become completely over exaggerated in terms of that child's engagement with the environment. And we need to be very proactive. We need to be very specific, and our educators, our school principals and the head of departments in partnership with the parents needs to talk about this. So that scenarios can be neutralized the moment that it emerges, because the tensions will always be there. The problem, the challenge of a child with autism and ADHD is that the tension that they experience on a day-to-day basis is kind of a constant. So it is what it is, which is why in the normal classroom setup, if you think about how many children you can accommodate in a class, that child can take up the 5 children's places in terms of how you fill up your numbers, just in terms of numbers. And this is part of the department's policy. And if the reason for this is because the fewer people are in the classroom with a child that struggles with this, the easier it is for the teacher to navigate through moments that things where the wheels do come off, but then understanding it, to just remain calm, allow everybody to feel safe, so that we don't have to end up with that child becoming the bully just because he's feeling so unsafe.
So you've indicated, Andrew, that you've been in the education space for many years. What have you seen? How have these children fared going forward? Children on the spectrum, children with ADHD. What does their future look like? So once they're through the education system, do they become dropouts? The thugs that you see these days, do they then, gravitate towards a life of addiction? What's the future like for these kids? Would it be solely dependent on the type of support that they get in their early years of development by their parents, by the schooling system, to make them truly well-rounded and be able to then go out into the world, being ready to take on the world in a very proactive way and be a meaningful member of society. Because what then happens to these children if they're not given the proper support in the schooling system?
Yeah. To say that, or to think, and it's a normal thought to have, where do these children, what is their trajectory? Where does this road take them? And to say that it ends up in places like you've described, I can nod my head and say that is, if one looks at history and you listen to stories that people tell, that is often how it plays out. Unfortunately, it is. Because the inflexibility, the fact that the system is not able to open up and accommodate, then leads to that. Because often in the world outside, after school, if one allows yourself to have, let's say, criminal behavior, it is one way to kind of become accepted in a different space, and that's very often the trap. But it's a trap for many children that are not able to access a future career or further learning opportunities after school. That is what happens for many students. But I think it's really important that schools, educators, and parents become informed about what is the possible trajectories that is open and available, that is able to accommodate my child in terms of the needs that they've got, and identifying what are the routes, or what are the options that are available. There are a number of institutions. I know that UJ, if I may, just as reference, University of Johannesburg has a neurodiversity center. Professor Maximus Sofotu is heading the center, and it is a center where they are doing an enormous amount of work to create pathways for learners to have a pathway that heads towards something that allows them to go through the schooling system, become qualified in one way or another, depending on their skills and their profile, and then access work. I think it's important that we must understand that parents must not think that they must do this by themselves. There is support. The Department of Education do provide support for parents and for learners that are living this reality, and it's important that we reach out. You are not alone as a parent. There are people that have gone through this. There are people that are in the same place as you are, and that there are centers across the country in different provinces where you can reach out for support.
So for people watching the show this morning, you've just given really hope to them. Their child doesn't have to end up being a dropout. There are support structures in place. It may not be the current school that they're at, but you referred to the UJ Center for Neurodiversity. Could a parent perhaps approach a center such as that and then get the support that they require so that their child doesn't become a dropout statistic going forward?
Definitely, that's the purpose, and that's the reason why these centers are set up. I think the first call of protocol would be to connect with the department, with the local Department of Education, your provincial or your district department. In each of these departments, there is a social worker and a psychologist in the department that can guide parents in terms of places where to go. The education system for many reasons, they work on a diagnosed basis. So if one is aware that there may be certain greater issues rather than just misbehavior, go and find help and ask for help. And you should receive support. And if parents are not finding the support that they are asking, they are welcome to contact us.
Thank you so much. You've certainly given given us hope this morning. I often wonder, what do parents do in situations such as these? Does it mean that they've got to give up, a lot of their own time and resources to support this child? But it's great to know that that there is support out there. And we thank you indeed for sharing this platform with us this morning, and just indicating that something can and will and should be done for children with ADHD and, of course, autism. God bless. Go well and keep up the amazing work. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you for the opportunity. May God be with you. Thank you.
That was Andrew Hofmeyr, National Council of and for Persons with Disabilities, the Senior Manager. And I'm so glad we've had this chat, because it is about neurodivergent learners. If your child falls into that category, please do not lose hope. He has indicated your first port of call would be your local Department of Education. They will then point you in the right direction. They probably will, have tests done on your child, and then decide which would be the best outcome for your child. 1 minute after 12 o'clock, this is the Mid-Morning Show with me, Julie Ali. Thank you for being with me. Still 2 more interviews to come. We'll talk with Mark Haywood. He is a human rights and social justice activist. We are going to talk food justice now, and we will also talk later on in the show with Nomzamo Vali, Project Manager at TB HIV Care. Please stay with me and do become a part of the conversation.